Okay, so tell me about adaptability.
Well, it definitely provides some overall productivity. Now, obviously, we as leaders like people that can adapt or course correct because the change sometimes causes a disruption for some people. Some people are built on rhythms, routines, uh, and they don't adapt very well. So the adaptability piece for people in leadership or management or whatever the case may be, it just makes it for an easier, more positive, fluid environment. Uh, you get those people that they're just, I'm not doing that. That's not how we do it. And that just causes such a disruption because, okay, you don't do it like that. We have to change the process. It's not going to not change. So then you get this. Those that aren't very adaptable, you kind of want to find a home for their personality or a home for, you know, something that's more routine based, something is not going to change. I'll use an example and just the new terminals that we got maybe a couple of years ago. We went from these iPads to an actual NCR terminal. And a lot of the kids were used to the iPads. Obviously, everybody's a little more efficient on iPads because they're used to them. They're younger. And these new terminals came out, man, they caused such a disruption. And I feel like they work better and they're easier, but the kids just didn't want to adapt to the bigger terminals. They wanted the small little iPads. And unfortunately, some people just was like, I can't do this. But it's kind of, you know, it's progression within our industry, as you probably already know. We change recipes all the time. We change terminals all the time. And those people that are, I like to say those people that can adapt well to different things make for great candidates as it relates to any other business, concept, brand, company, whatever the case may be, because they can literally go in there and say, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. I
It, not that you don't want a no questions asked kind of person, but being able to handle the change with very minimal pushback, it just kind of helps you free up a little more of your time also. So you're not stressed out. You're not trying to figure out how you can help Sally or Doug figure out why this is okay. The change is going to work. You just got to let it go. I promise. Then you stress yourself out as a leader. I mean, just, I've seen GMs just get stressed out because they're afraid to tell their team they're going to make a change. And you're like, just tell them, man. Just tell them and tell them why. Tell them what you're going to do and tell them what the ultimate result is or, what you're looking for, your goal, anything like that. But those people that are more adaptable just make for a very productive work environment. I feel like.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it when you said make sure they understand why. I think attitude too is a huge part of it. Like even if you don't agree with the change, you should still be a change champion and still be that person who is positive about it. Because if you're a leader, like you're basically the thermostat, like you're setting the temperature for your team.
Yep.
And if you're going in and saying, I don't like this change, but we have to do it, or this change is dumb and we have to do it, or this is what corporate said, so we have to do it. When you're doing that, there's less buy-in. Whereas if you
Exactly.
champion the change, whether you agree or not, you tell them the why and make sure they understand that, you're going to have a lot better time with that change than if you go the other route. And a lot of people don't get that, I think.
who is that? I always used to say, we live in a leader led business or a leader led environment, an industry. And it's true. I mean, much like you just said, if I go in and say, God, man, corporate wants us to change this, I don't like it, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get the pushback. You're going to get the lack of adaptability with the team members that are in there. You go in there and you give them such this positive vibe or this conversation where, man, this is going to be awesome. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to help us. Those things. Then you get more of the buy-in, which obviously turns into more adaptability. Then you're going to gently get those guys to do what you want, when you need it. And they'll create a adaptable mentality in their head. Like, yeah, okay, I trust them. And that's the other piece of it, the trust. You build the trust and they'll become adaptable. That's I think maybe be a proven fact.
I think another thing too is get excited about it. Like I know that sometimes, especially with things like plating, if there was a change on plating, anytime I would roll that out, I would spin it like we're going to be able to fix all these problems that we've had, or all these complaints are going to go away because we changed this. Like, don't forget to talk about the things that are going to get better by making the change. You know what I mean?
Yep. And again, a lot of these things that we talk about just totally goes back to education. That's the baseline for everything. You got to teach them and tell them and explain it, the whys, and this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to impact it. And that's across the board, whether it's, platforms or, what we're talking about now or, changes, whatever the case may be. The education piece is huge. And that goes hand in hand with trust. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to you if you don't know what you're talking about and you don't want to teach them anything. So you get them in your buildings, as well as I do.
Yeah. That's why people quit too.
Yep. You'll lose them quick. You tell them to do something you can't teach that, you're done.
Or you tell them to do something and then there's nothing, no context, just, hey, you didn't do that. And then you're
Hey,
mad they didn't
go
do
fix
it.
this. Yeah. Remember the old directors and the old VPs that come in your store and be like, I need you to fix labor. Then they get mad when the kids do some shady stuff. Or food costs is a prime example. You need to fix your food costs. All right, cool. You want me to hit 34? Done. And magically you have like an extra 2, 5, 7, and 13 days of food on hand. And you're wondering what's going on here. Hey, you got 34, didn't you? That's what you
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah. I always hated working for the leaders that would say, I don't care how you fix it, just fix it. Like you don't have to fix it the right way, you just need to fix it.
Just hit the number. That's it. That's all I want you to do.
I don't care how you do it, just do it.
Must be coming up to mid to end of quarter, and they're like, okay, this is what we got to do to impact it.
The worst was drive-through speed of service. Like there's so many, I've never seen so many like inventive ways to like trick the drive-through timers.
Oh, yeah. About your downtime, you have Sally who's like, I'm going to go drive my car through drive through 15 times. She stops for like 10 seconds and it would drop. I'm like, dude, seriously, man, you did not have a 30-second drive through time in the last 4 hours. It didn't happen. Don't tell me that. They got 197,000 cars. You're running like 30-second drive through times.
When I worked in South Dallas, I had a kid on the overnight shift. He was driving in circles in the drive-through to get their time down, and he actually somehow like ran into the building and he ended up
Uh,
his Chevy Cruze ended up in our prep area.
oh, that must have been a painful conversation, especially if it was
Was
the GM that was letting him do it.
I think it was an assistant manager that was running overnights because we'd have to have a manager on overnights like Fridays and Saturdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because of
Mm.
how busy they were. But yeah, he went, his car ended up in the prep area.
Not sure how that happens, but yeah, that's not a good. It's not a good situation to be in.
It was funny too, because he was a new driver and it was like a brand new car.
Ah, I bet mom was not happy.
Probably not. Even insurance, like you didn't even make it like a year.
Somebody took the under on 6 months for that kid.
Hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, but it was funny.
Uh,